Hey, this is Neil Diamond Cutter, the original Prince of Death, the Mountain of Death, one-on-one death proof, no motherfucking honey badger, and you're listening to Uncorked with Kid Osborne. Fuck yeah!
Howdy everybody, and welcome back to Uncorked with Kit. And I am so sorry. It has been 4 months since my last post on Spotify. The last one being in April with Big Fucking Joe. And I'm happy to be back here and have another episode for you. And this one was actually recorded on April 21st. And this one is with Akira. But, a lot of shit's happened. Alright? So, calm the fuck down. But really, I appreciate all of you that have reached out wanting another episode. You've definitely motivated me to do it again because I've certainly had my ups and downs. I've been depressed a little bit lately, but I've also had a lot of opportunities. It makes me a lot more optimistic in whatever the future holds for Kid Osborne. But certainly depressing when I got kicked off of King of the Deathmatch by Ian Rotten, because I jobbed out to AJ Gray at GCW TOS 666. All right, so what happened, just to get into it, is Brett gave me the stick, said, go out there, be you. And I was. And I call out anybody. And who takes the challenge? AJ Gray. He goes out there. I'm not being a coward. I run at him. And I just fucking end up losing. Big fucking deal, He's one of the biggest and most talented independent wrestlers today, and an unprepared Kid Osborne lost to him. Okay, it can go either way no matter what, right? But to Ian Rotten, I hurt the dignity of IWA Mid-South and King of the Deathmatch because I did that and I lost. It doesn't matter that I've been in Tournament of Death, that I've fallen off of a scaffold and had the biggest spot of that show, or that I've had a couple matches with Gage, or Chris Dickinson at Backyard Wrestling, or whatever the fuck else I've done. None of that matters because of this match with AJ Gray that I lost, right? And it's not like I didn't even do anything. I was unprepared, and it makes sense, really, but apparently not. So it's depressing because I always feel like there are double standards against me. However, I can't appreciate enough all the support that all of you guys have given me. Since then, since that has been the backlash for him has benefited me immensely. I've had nothing but opportunities. Every weekend I have something and I make the best of it. Just like I did at TOS 666. When I get a chance to wrestle or talk at GCW, I know how many eyes I get. And I love it. But since then, I've gotten to do, backyard wrestling again for GCW against Chris Dickinson. I have a lot more ahead. I got to do MLW. I got to be back at the arena. All right, and that shit's on Vice. All right, that's pretty fucking cool. All these things, they add up, I think. And it definitely means a lot that because of all of you and the support you gave me, a depressing moment like that, turned into a good thing. Actually, a more beneficial thing. I'm happy everybody involved at King of the Deathmatch killed it. Congratulations, Eric Ryan. Since then, I am now on a number of things that I'm excited for. And that's all that really fucking matters. And it's because of all of you, because of what happened, because of everything I've done, that's where I am now. And I just have to be optimistic about it. But more importantly, we're going to get to Uncorked with Kit. And this is my conversation from April 21st, 4 months ago. And I guarantee it's all still relevant, all right? Like I said, this motherfucker didn't change anything. When he's like 50 years old, I swear to God, he's still going to be that like samurai warrior princess thing that he's doing. And that's great because he rules and I love him. But here's my conversation with Akira. Oh, my friend. Oh, the Death Samurai.
It's my favorite Von Erich. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you today, man?
Just got back from the gym. I'm able to breathe finally. That's great.
Don't fucking lie to me. You weren't at any gym.
I know, right?
You were at like Hot Topic or something like that, getting new
You got
gear.
the wrong guy. That's that Atticus dude, man. Have you seen the way that motherfucker dresses in the ring? Come on.
My mistake. I meant Spencer's.
There you go. That's where it's fucking at.
Oh man. Well,
Spencer
dude,
and I recently discovered there's a store called Akira, and they sell like all Japanese shit. And my girlfriend now constantly shops there, so I probably shop there too now.
Dude, you picked it's like the name is perfect. I mean, there's like a million different things named after it. So I'm sure like after we're done this conversation, I'll be scrolling through Instagram and I'll have a million different like promotions for like Akira labeled fashion. You know, and I'm just like, oh great, I'm gonna buy that shirt.
You gotta buy that. Gotta buy that. Fuck.
So, you know, the name of the show, Uncorked with Kit. I buy a bottle of wine that I usually just buy it the day of that I think fits the person I'm interviewing. And, you know, since this one's more about me because when I decided to allow you to be on my show, I was just like, dude, why am I punishing myself like this? You know, what did I do to deserve this? So the bottle of wine is a 19 Crimes, and it's called The Punishment.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, one of the other things, like when one of these like Florida-isms that I came to learn that they all use down there is when somebody keeps talking to you and they don't get those social cues, they call them punishers. Like,
so you.
Yeah, me. Especially after I'm drinking like fucking wine.
Are you like a really emotional drunk?
You know,
or you really one of those bro drunk?
That's usually why I don't drink before the show because I figured it out now that like, you know, oh wow, he's really reserved in the beginning for the most part, and then all of a sudden a couple glasses in, they're like, oh, he's drinking a lot faster. Yeah, did he really just say that?
He's really thirsty. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh man.
Someone tell Kit that's not water.
Yeah. So you missed out on the collective, and it was like the absolute worst timing. You had I joked with like the pic, you know, the video of me signing all on every single one over your face. Because obviously I'm never advertised for anything that I'm on. But
hey, to be fair, you were the highlight, man.
Huh?
You and Marcus was the highlight. I got so excited.
It was fun, man. I mean, I'm glad that he wanted me to be that guy for him to come in there. I mean, I'm sure part of it, yeah, we're really close. But I think the other part is like, yeah, like I can lift him and I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, yeah, I can throw him into anything. He's not going to retaliate.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it was nice. I'm glad I got to do that for him. I mean, it was definitely emotional for a lot of people. I didn't really think I didn't think much of it because I talked to him all the time. And I'm
then afterwards,
you know, like when I first saw him after, you know, everything had happened to him, you know, I mean, I know that it's rough. It's rough for him, and I'm always like the one that's just fucking poking at him. Like, I can't fucking hear you. What did you say? Speak up, you know? But it was nice to be a part of that. But yeah. I'm sorry that you know, that just terrible timing.
It sucked because so my girlfriend got sick and like she locked herself in the room and because she was like, stay the fuck away from me because you've got, you know, the next week coming up. And then that weekend hit when I was like, okay, we're close, you know, she's almost out of it. And then I just started feeling awful and I was like, oh no. I just knew when like I'm sitting there laying in bed and my legs just started hurting and I was like, like I knew before I even got tested what I had, and I told everybody, I was like, I'm out. I'm
Yeah,
like, they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, and I got it, and I was like, I'm out. It killed me. But like I
dude,
woke
I
up,
know.
I didn't watch any wrestling. Like I saw the last bit of the second the second pit fighter show. But like
Right.
the first like actual stuff I started watching, like getting on Twitter and looking at that I wasn't tagged in. Like I saw you and I saw Marcus, and I was like, I was just so happy. And then I sat there like, and then the full show that I watched was obviously the last ICW show.
Right.
But like between like the stuff that I was tagged in, which was like a couple things that like I was, I guess, involved in that I didn't know I was going to be involved in. Uh, what it was you, it was Marcus, obviously Alex and Lucky, and the uh, Knowles Bard. And that was
Right.
just, I woke up to that, and I was just happy. Like I woke up to seeing you and Marcus, and I was like, oh, what a fucking thing to wake up to.
Oh, dude, let me tell you though, like when we were out there and we're it's still up in the air, like nobody's allowed to know. Like even before, right before the show, it took until Alex, announced it in the back, like, hey, this is what's happening. This is how we're opening it. Because Alex and Marcus were like, you're not allowed to say it, not allowed to tell anybody. It's just like, what the fuck, man? Like
Let me
my
hype it
whole
up.
week. So this is what's so funny is my entire week consisted of run-ins, like a run-in promo that turns into a match, and then same thing with Marcus at Planet Death,
Yeah.
and then I just did and I run in, I do, or not run in, but I take over the commentary booth and I do commentary on the last show.
You had like the best job the whole weekend. You're like,
Dude, it was great. It was
I'm
so
working
great.
TV matches, I'm doing run-ins, and I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
commentary, and I'm getting paid for it.
It was great. Yo, but let me tell you this story that happened when I was there. The match, the night before Marcus. So it was Thursday or whatever.
Mhm.
Something with whatever I did. Like I had like a headache, and I thought I had Tylenol in my bag, and I did. Lo and behold, it was Tylenol PM. And I'm like, we're, if you saw the building, like, you're walking up four flights, and then there's the basement, there's like a show at the top. And I'm like, I just start talking to people. I'm like, yo, man, like, what the fuck did I take? And I ended up falling asleep on the steps in like the basement where like the locker room area was. I fell asleep on Dana's lap, and then I woke up to Brett taking a picture of me.
Did you fall
I,
asleep like Jimmy did at the 24-hour show with your head against the fucking wall?
I think I was either like I think it was on the wall. I just know I woke up and then I saw Brett taking a picture of me, and I just like stood up like the Manchurian Candidate, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And I just like called a lift, and I went to my hotel room, and I just was like, oh man.
You're like, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I was so like groggy. It was terrible, but I realized what I did, and I was like, all right, I didn't get Bill Cosby.
That was smart. Let's put that somewhere else, and let's
Mhm.
not let's grab that when I need it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it was not a good idea. So,
like I know that feeling though, because like during the week I try to get up, like I gotta take the dog out and shit. I'd go and I'd walk the dog, and I'd come back and I'd feel like I ran a marathon. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna lie down and go to sleep for another 5 hours.
dude,
I didn't work for 2 weeks, so
when you got COVID, like so it affected your breathing. It's still affecting you now because it did to me when I got it.
it's funny because so it was like Monday, yeah, this Monday, I was at the gym, and Alex texted me, and he's like, hey kid, how you doing? And I was like, I just did cardio, and he's like, how'd that go? And I was like, I could do like 30 minutes at like 9 or 10 and be miserable, but I could finish
Yeah.
it. 10 minutes at like 7. I was heaving like I ran a marathon, and I'm like, okay, let's do another 2 more of these fucking things. And I told him, I was like, I hate people like Shane Mercer.
Yeah, dude,
It's like,
fuck guys like him, man. Like he could be on his deathbed, and it would be like my best day ever. That would be the most
perform us all.
accomplishing thing I could ever do. But it's Oh man, same thing with me. I quarantined for the 10 days. I got cleared. Oh, like, and then I just straight up like went on the elliptical. The
Oh.
easiest thing to do, and
Mhm.
I was on it for maybe 20 minutes before I was like coughing up a lung, and I'm trying not to like
I'm
freak
still
anybody out.
coughing. People like I'm sitting there retching, and people like right now, and people are like, "Are
Yeah,
you okay?" And I'm like, "No."
yeah, and you like you don't
I
want to say
worked.
anything. Oh man,
I worked
it's
like last Saturday was that Pawcade show, and I worked like a UWFI, shoot wrestling stuff, and it was like 5 to 6 minutes. But like by the end of it, like I did it. But I was also like, fuck, I feel like I just wrestled 15 minutes. This is awful. And people are like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I'm getting through it. And so like this Friday, I'm getting my girlfriend and I are gonna go. We're gonna get a local ring, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna tell her like, hey, let's just wrestle for an hour. She's like, shit. I haven't told her yet. She's gonna be pissed. She's like,
oh yeah.
no. And I'm like, no, we're
I feel
wrestling
like I'm
for an
gonna
hour.
hear in the other room like, "What the fuck did you just say?" Shit, we gotta go.
She's in there listening to Ariana Grande, so she's in her own world.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
God.
Dude, I need to do it too. Like I just need to roll around. I was in
Mhm.
like Schlack. Like he hurt his knee, and then like
Mhm.
before Mania, him and I went to H2O, and we just kind of
Mhm.
rolling around in the ring and just coming up with different things, just to fuck with his knee to see if like he could juke,
Hold it.
jump
Mhm.
off the top and stuff like that. And we're doing like the wrestling things for blood sport, and I'm trying to like grab him and stuff like that, and I'm like, whoa. I am now dizzy and I am like entirely blown up, and this is not good.
Oh yeah, it's the best cardio though because like you're constantly doing something.
Yep.
But I just imagine doing that style with him would be entertaining. Like because I did someone sent me him and Super Beast, and I was like, this is the most entertaining thing I've ever seen in my life. It
It
was
was
like
like 5 minutes.
yeah, 5 minutes, and it was a complete fucking car wreck.
Yeah,
Fucking Schlack takes what was it like a suplex, just comes up oozing blood, and then I'm like, bet.
that's it. I mean,
Well,
what did you expect? Did you think that he was gonna like
go out there and be Drew
really
Gulak.
he's gonna have a different attire on? He's gonna act like he's like it's as if it's not gonna be like Kimbo Slice, coming to UFC, and that's what I think some people thought.
Deathmatch Kimbo. That's Schlack,
Yeah.
man.
Oh man. But man, so I have some questions I wanted to get on here to try to make it a little organized. Last week I did Big Fucking Joe, and it was I had a list of things I wanted to ask him. None of that happened. He was off the walls. It was great,
Just
and
ran
he got
away.
absolutely shit faced. And I was like, this is more for me. And then after I finished with him, then we talked for like another hour and a half about nothing. But
He's
the
such a
wine
great
kicked in.
dude. I met him at a Tournament of Death in 2019, and
Yeah,
this is before I was really like doing a lot of death matches. Like I had maybe done like 3 or 4 at the time, but I was like, hey man, like because it was him and Cass, and I was like,
yeah,
you like your guys' match was fucking great. I was like, it's crazy. You're basically out there in like nothing. Little did I know, like I'd be wrestling that entire year of death matches in trunks too. But like I was like, that's fucking nuts because he does like no knee pads and shit. Like
yeah. He's
Oren does
fucking
that
insane.
shit, and I'm like, fuck you. My knees like someone called me deathmatch Sakuraba, and like the week after, my knee started hurting, and I was like, yeah, can we not call me that because that's just like coming back, and that's predicting the future. But he was just such a nice dude, and
Oh
him and
yeah,
I talk all the time now, and I'm just waiting for the fucking world to open up. I'm like, let's get the fuck out of the country. Let's go do shit.
dude. He sent me like every single promoter that is like I feel like that's ever stepped foot in the UK. He just sent me every little contact, and I'm obviously very lazy as shit. But
He just told
I
me he's like we got a couple that like you need to message. But he's like if you came over here, like I'd get you. He's like deathmatch bookings, regular bookings, like you'd be busy. And I'm like I just want to fucking go. And that's what's worse about being in the COVID era because I know I could be even busier, but I'm just waiting for the world to get its shit together.
It's
Ugh.
true. I know, and everywhere else does it better than here in the United States. So it's like depressing.
You're like, God
um,
damn it.
but so you started doing deathmatch wrestling in, like you said, 2018 to like a little bit, and then 2019.
Early 2019 was when I I had my first one in Mexico. One
Your
second, I'm
first
gonna.
deathmatch was in Mexico.
Yeah, my first death match was in Mexico at NGX,
Okay.
and yeah, so it was really really fucking nerve wracking because it wasn't like in front of 40 people like some people. It was like 200, 300 screaming Mexicans, and it wasn't like they were booing me. They were fucking all in, and I was like, oh, this is so weird. This is so weird. And my first tube I ever took, it wasn't even a tube. It was a bundle that was had 16 in it, and my back was turned, and I didn't know it was coming because I was a fatal four way,
Oh my God.
and this guy is just I knocked him on the outside, and I started choking him through the ropes. I'm screaming at the fans, and then without me knowing, I sit there. I'm like,
You don't even know. It's like you don't even know what that feels like. So it's
and I
like
get
I
hit
don't
with
know what just
16 of them.
happened.
I was like, oh fuck, and because I had never gigged before either, too. So they're like, hey, here's your piece, and I was like, oh okay, just jab, and I was like. So we're going to the match, and so after that, the guys, laying some heat on me. People are getting really into it, and he's like, "All right, sir," and he speaks a lot of Spanish, but sick boy, so he has
Yeah.
he speaks English well enough. He's like, "Hey, time to go," and I go and I'm like, "Where's my piece?" And I'm like, "Oh." Fuck, I don't know where it's at. And I looked, and he just looked and walked away. I grabbed him by his fucking ankle, and I was like, "Stab me, motherfucker!" And my friend Aiden Blackheart's sitting on the outside, and he's watching. He's like, I watched the crazy just snap on you, and I watched you just go nuts. And he's like, I go back up, and I come back up because he just took a tube, and I got the cut right here. He just went hoop, pop, and I saw the little pieces go and. And he's like, yeah, I came up to check on you. I just saw red everywhere, and I was like, he's good. And he dipped again, and
God.
yeah, it was just a fucking bloodbath. But that's as soon as the blood started going, that's when legit the crazy ticked, and I'm like, I'm all in, motherfucker.
Dude, it's no joke, man. Once you start to it's almost like I think of it like No Mercy or whatever. And the second they would be hit and they're bleeding, they're like. Yes,
it's like a blood 100%. Fury. But it's like for some people they'll have that for the first or second, for the first couple times, and then they're like, wow, this kind of hurts, this kind of sucks. Every time I start bleeding, I get that manic, I'm ready to fucking kill you energy, and people after match, people calm down, Jesus Christ.
I think the only thing I hate is I headbutted somebody or Ty Hill at No Peace the last show, so a couple weeks ago. When I did it, I somehow I cut some of my hair here. I was like, dude, this is happening way too often. And I'm like, I think I need to just kind of chill out
I just remember because I had that long ass red hair, right? And just after that,
Red Rooster.
Yeah, it was beautiful though. And after my match with Oren in Milwaukee, just a huge clump was ripped out, and I'm like, well, it's time to fucking go. And so fun fact, I have never ever gigged. It's always been hard way, except this that last show I did with Mickey. That was the first time, and I was it took 2 or 3 little baby aspirins before, and I was like, 1, 2, 3, flush. I was like, oh fuck, it's that easy. I don't have to take a gusset to the dome. I don't have to get headbutted open. Oh shit. I feel like such a fucking dummy. But that match was crazy.
It's funny that when you brought up the first time you get hit by light tubes, and it probably felt the same way. I mean, the first time my first match was at Tournament of Death, first death match ever. I begged you on it because I thought it was going to be something like I need something, like my shit's stale and I don't know what the fuck to do. And Dan O'Hare powerbombed me on like a bundle. And like when I hit it, it felt as if like anytime somebody first starts scratching your back, but it's not in one spot, it's in 1,000 different spots. And it was like that, and I didn't know how to react. I was like,
and it's like a cat's clawing your back. Yeah. You're just like, what the fuck did I just get hit with? It was the most mind-numbing thing.
More than anything.
And now it's just like, okay, cool. Like it hurts. I'm just like, but I'm used to it, which is such a crazy thing to say. Like 3 years ago, if you told me, hey, bro, like you're going to be doing like 90s All Japan, but you're also going to be doing it in glass. And I'd be like, what? I'm doing what now? But now I'm just like, it's just the thing.
And then you get labeled as it, and then they're like, like I don't know what it is. It's the same thing as like, like I'm a smaller guy, so then they just go, oh, that means he's not afraid of heights, and you're like, yeah, that's exactly what it means. You ever see me get on a fucking airplane and watch it take off out the window? Like,
that's like when I did the roof jump last year, and I get there and they're like, hey, man, you want to go off the roof? Like, you do like a Phoenix splash. And you've seen me. I'm like a technical, like, strong style guy. And I was like, no, do you want me to break my fucking neck?
Yeah, dude. What do you think? Why do you think I grab a mic a lot? Why do you think I like talking?
You go up and you do what I do, but you do it while, like, you're cutting a promo while jumping off.
Yeah. Like, I remember, like, the thing with Connor on that trampoline thing. Like he didn't ask me if I wanted to do it. He knows I would say no. He's just like, you're doing it. And I was like, okay.
Well, I think whoever it was that told me that was when Schlack threw Jimmy off the top. What was it at? Was it Tournament of Survival or something like that?
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's like, nope, you're going, and just like murdered him.
You're like, oh, okay.
It's one of those things. You get up there and you're like, fuck, I'm here. Like I went up to the roof, and for a second I thought, fuck. But then I had like Murdoch in my head, and Murdoch was like, well, I'm up here. Got to get down somehow. And I'm like, all right, fuck it,
it's like,
go.
Once you're up there, you're like, well, there's nothing else. There's no other choice unless I want to quit wrestling.
That's the thought I just had. All right, I'm just put the tubes down. I quit.
Yeah, you literally, if you don't jump, then you have to delete all of your social media and then just go to work, and that's it. Cut your hair. It's over.
But like, it's crazy to me because like, once again, I'm not like a crazy like jumping off everything kind of dude. I went up there and like just for a second I was like, well, I'm up here, and I just did it. And I was like, and as soon as I finished, I was like, oh shit, I did that. All right, cool. Never doing that again.
Yeah, I did it already. I hope that it goes viral, so I don't have to do it again. And that's it.
I don't think I have to do it again.
No, it's like,
it's so fucking weird. But like the whole deathmatch thing of like, oh, you're just a deathmatch guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking deathmatch guy, but I go do what you do, and I do it in glass. That makes me fucking cooler, and that makes me better. Like I'm throwing arm bars in glass. Like you saw, I think you were there for my match with Tony at On Point, and afterwards people were just like, bro, that was technical, and I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for fucking 2.5 years, man. Like this isn't new.
It's really, it's like I do the same stuff. I just, that pop of tubes, or like, a pit of tacks or whatever is just it's just a prop. Like, I mean, it fucking hurts. I mean, but I mean, it's just an added enhancement to whatever it is I'm already doing.
It's like adding a pyrotechnic to that already cool thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's that little bit of something that you can't get out of normal wrestling. But it's like I could go and I could do that in a normal match, and I could get almost the same reaction. But it's like when I do it with, like when I'm German suplexing someone through tubes, it's a really visceral thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I mean, it hurts regardless, but it also, it leaves that it's almost like it's the sacrifice of, hey, well, if we can have this huge pop with this move by doing like a German with light tubes or whatever, or we can do like 4 Germans with no light tubes, and you're just like, I'll just do the 2.
I'll do the 1. Yeah, well, that's my favorite thing.
It's scarred the fuck
That's my favorite thing in matches, though. is like some people will be like, so you do like I tell them German suplex, and they go like, how many? And I go one. They go one. I'm like one. Even in a regular match, I'm such a simple, basic ass wrestler.
It just
Like,
depends on how you get to it. Like,
yeah,
and that's the issue. Like, some people care about the spots that they're doing, but they're less worried about the build to it.
the
And
build, the story, like all those little things. But like I can hit that one with the perfect bridge, and you're like, yeah, that's the finish. And I'm like, or you go out there and do 4 or 5, and you wake up the next day going, why does my neck hurt so fucking much?
yeah, that's the feeling of accomplishment. You're like, yeah, it sure is.
It's
I can't wait for work.
I remember, was it 2019, that Mania weekend, like when it was Takeda and Gresham, people were like getting their mind blown by Takeda, and I was like,
Dude, these guys
bro, he was in Battle Arts. He was in Battle Arts. What the fuck were you thinking? Like, he's a trained MMA rep, like, killer.
It just shows you what what most people know them for. And
now you got guys like Fox, and you have like Masada, and like all those guys going out there, and Danny, who would go out there and just do that technical wrestling, and they're like, and you're blowing people's minds. Like, I saw a European clutch. Yeah, it was Danny and Masada, and like Masada caught him in barbed wire and like a European clutch pin, and people were like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "It's like for pro wrestlers." Who would have fucking thought?
Like, Masada's been doing this for a long fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And, he didn't always do deathmatch wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He also doesn't always need to. I think that's what he knows his niche. So he's like, people didn't come here to see me have the match I did on Sunday Night Heat. They came here to see the match that I do almost every fucking time. That's viewers, and that's it.
That's why, like, it's interesting, because you see guys like Nick, where it's like they took all that stuff that they gained from deathmatch, like the aura, the fucking aggression, and then they do it in a regular match, and people just can't fucking keep up. Like, I've seen, like, when like Nick was doing like Chikara matches, and you'd see like the kids wrestle and be like, fuck. And I feel the same with guys like Murdoch, where it's like go out there in regular matches and guys aren't ready for that fucking, they're in, like, it's deathmatch mode all the time. Simon Gosh was the guy who said, he told me, he was like, every match is a deathmatch if you try hard enough. And I did that UWFI match, and like how I finished the match was like I knocked the dude down, and I straight, like, he's on his back, and I run up and I give him like this nastiest double stomp I've ever given anyone in my life, and his mom is in the front row, and I start stomping legit just stomping his head in.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching his mom, and this is like, so these people don't know fucking shoot wrestling. It's the middle of fucking like Indiana, like hillbilly Indiana, and they're watching horrified as I'm stomping his skull in as the ref pulls me off. And like, you just see those guys bring that same fucking energy. Like Takeda's like that, like in Bloodsport, he's that dude all the time. Yeah. And that's why, like, I'm so happy I started doing like death matches, just because I wouldn't be the wrestler I am now if I didn't have like the energy that I have now, especially these like this, because I'm still like, I'm only 3 years in, so I'm still figuring shit out. But like these past couple of shows, people have been like, dude, you've been like I'm terrified of you. And I'm like,
that was my one question. I was gonna say, when did you, I mean, yeah, you're only 3 years in. I did know that. I did a little research. You'd be surprised. Wow, I didn't just Google myself like I normally do, but I saw, you started in 2018. John Wayne Murdoch is one of your head trainers. Yeah.
My original trainer was a guy named Blake Reed from New Wave Pro.
Okay.
But like John and Reed were the guys that like I just learned the most from being underneath them, from riding on the roads with them, things like that. Because it went from like being the student of that one guy. I was like the one student because everybody else quit. Then it was I hit the road with Aiden Blackheart, and he would never say he's like my trainer. He's like I'm a guy you hit the road with. But then I got in with John and Reed, and that's where like things started clicking because I had already started. My first death match was the show that they were at, and part of me, you know, Reed would never admit it. They would think. They would think. I think they looked at me and were just like, "Okay, this guy wants to go. He's got something." And let's see. I just think he clicked. Here, give me just a second. Someone's at the door. I gotta get that real quick.
No, you put it live.
I know we're live, so here, look at my cat.
All right, that's fine. All right, well, so while I'm doing this, everybody, I have still here for this fundraiser for Alzheimer's. So if you can, please donate to it. Obviously, this is a brief break because Akira doesn't respect my work. And, you know, he's a piece of shit. He's a bitch. And, you know, he's been one for years. I can tell you why mathematically. You know, for one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions I have here. I've maybe asked like half of one. And that's just because, you know, he just keeps going. You know, I feel like the kid just drank coffee for the first time. But I mean, by all means, right? Anyway, I have the Alzheimer's charity. If you guys want to just donate to that, it'd be awesome. And also, I'm always interested in hearing anybody that you want to be on the show. So let me know, and I'll definitely reach out to them. And he's back, ladies.
I'm back. My neighbor was exactly asking some weird question. Weird old dude.
Oh, that's weird.
But
So what I wanted to ask you was when did things, you know, within this 3-year period, which, dude, I mean, that's you're doing really well, and I absolutely despise any of those people that, like, you know, have done it forever, and then they go, well, you know, he didn't really fucking go through the, you know, all the hoops, he didn't do the tries. Like, fuck that. Like, dude,
paying the dues.
If you get lucky or you find yourself faster than somebody else, then I mean, there's more power to you. I personally think, like, I'm just like one of those late bloomer kind of people. I started really early, and then I came up during like a weird time in which, like, people that were small aren't allowed to get any fucking offense in, apparently.
Yeah, you get shit on just because of your stature.
Yeah, and then so that's like, you know, those times, and then I mentally couldn't understand, like, I couldn't believe me doing having offense and it being believable because of how much I was ever told that it wasn't. But when did things really start to click, you know, in which when you really developed your, you know, who you are now?
So it's always been in like stages. Because I also had that period where people just didn't really believe me, even though, like, I looked at these guys and I'm like, I could smoke you in a fight. I could smoke you in a fight. I could smoke you in a
because
fight.
You look like the Red Rooster, so you kind of like a
that didn't help. I was like Red Rooster, Nakamura, whatever the fuck you wanted to call me.
What the hell is this kid doing? You know, and he's just like, "Hi, sir, how are you?"
But
and I'm just
but then they go in there, and I'm sitting there smoking them with kicks, and they're like, "Oh fuck, this kid is here to fucking go." And that was always like my the response I got was after the match, they'd realize, "Oh fuck, you could probably beat the shit out of me," and I go, "Hi, nice to meet you, bye." But so through my training, it never really clicked. Wrestling didn't click. You know, you could do the basic fucking rudimentary shit, but you know, when you go out there the first couple times, you're fucking clueless. You're like, yes, sir, I'll do this. Cool, okay.
You just listen to the other guy. Whatever he says is gonna be right forever.
Fill your shit in whenever you can, and just keep your fingers crossed. Then I went and did the New Japan training camp for a week.
Okay.
And so Shibata's always been like the wrestler for me. Like his shit in Noah, like, and obviously stuff in like New Japan was like blowing my mind. Like I saw him and I saw guys like Suzuki, and I was like, that's the kind of guy I want to wrestle as. I don't want to fucking be, you know, 450 splash. I'm like, one, I just know I couldn't fucking do it. People are like, you can do it if you tried. I'm like, no, I couldn't, bro. I know my limits. I follow his style.
I'll find another niche.
Yeah. I'm like, I always like the style of wrestling where it's like kick you in the face, like really fucking like hyper realistic. So I went and I did that camp for a week, and you know, people like still kind of like joke, like, "Oh, I say he was trained by Shibata," but I'm like, everything I took from that week is like the fundamentals of what I do now. Like that very hyper realistic '90s All Japan, early like 2000s New Japan, like very very fucking realistic. Like I took everything from that, like how I grabbed like a fucking headlock, and and it was from there. That's where I started training like catch wrestling, and just going like all in, because I knew, especially in the Midwest, there's either a lot of just straight up like brawler guys, or there's a lot of high flyer guys, and I'm like, I'm gonna be, you know, my own thing, because I do a little bit of like high flying, if you want to even call it that, just something where it's like it's flashy to be flashy, but my core has always been that. But that first year, it was that same thing where you had, where like nobody believes you getting offense, because I was just the fucking, you know, the pretty boy kid, fucking, I got the nice gear, but they're like, you know, we don't believe you like suplexing me. How's that believable, brother? But I'd always be like, but I could do it in real life. Like I could legit drop you on your fucking head. Well, bro, it's not realistic. I can do it in real life.
I've been told, like, there are little things that have clicked. Like, I mean, I went to like a Chris Hero seminar where he was like, you know, as you're taking heat, you don't just have to keep taking heat. Like, you know, in real life fight, if you're getting like, you know, punched down, you're getting knocked, you know, you're getting all loopy or whatever, you're still you're still pushing that guy away from you until you get your thing. And I'm just like, yeah, wow, I didn't think of that. And then the other one is like, you know, I've been punched in the chest by like a 4-year-old, and it still fucking hurts. Yeah. So like, I don't get those people that will like, you know, I come in, I fucking chop you, and then you just like, you know, you look at me, and I just go, well, how the fuck am I gonna work with that?
See,
like, you know, like, all right,
I'm at a point now. You know, I'm not at a point now where someone does that, I get pissed.
Yeah, and it's annoying. It's like, dude, you know, and it's not. He hasn't done that to me, but I'm thinking of somebody like Chuck Payne. Chuck Payne is a giant, right? Mm-hmm. And if I went in and I chopped him, if he didn't sell a little bit, and he just was like, you know, in the beginning of a match, and I just go, well, all right, like I could either just expose, you know, the bullshit, or I could hit him for real in a shitty way, and then obviously then he would beat the shit out of me, I'd die, and it would be my last match ever, and then there wouldn't be any fucking tribute show. But there are options, and it's like the idea is like, dude, you know, as long as you understand that anybody at any size, if they hit you in a certain spot, they can knock you out, or they can fucking real. Dude, you get punched in the nose, a jab, I will be crying. Like, like, and that's it.
Like, when I had that match with the match with Matt, when I got stabbed, and I put my hands behind my back, like he legit clocked me, and I'm like, because like, you know, it's that thing of like, sorry, bro, got to, and I'm like, okay, and I was like, oh fuck, like, because people forget Matt is a big man, so when he throws a hand, it's gonna fucking hurt. But like, it was after I started doing started doing death matches. That's when I started getting, you know, the like a little bit rougher looking. That's when people started going, oh, they started believing it a little bit more. And then I slowly started getting out of, you know, the trunks that I was wearing, and I wore those white pants, and like it's just, things just started clicking over time, but it started clicking naturally. It wasn't like I was going out there looking for it. It was just, I had these matches, and I was like, okay, this is what I need to do now. Like, I had my first match with Reed, and Reed was headbutting the shit out of me. He was beating the fuck out of me. But I came out of that, and I was like, I need to be just as tough as fucking Reed, which is, you know, a lot hard because Reed is a tough motherfucker.
Right.
So it's just something that it's gradually changed. And as I realized things I needed to work on, things I need to change, I started with my look. I was like, okay, I look kind of like a fucking cartoon character with this gear. So, okay, let's tear these off, just knee pads, and fucking, I had the white kick pads for a while. That was just, and I told people, like, it's just blood. They're like, what's the red? Is it pain? I'm like, no, it's blood. And they go, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's blood. for me kicking people in the fucking face. And they go, oh, fuck, okay. And again, it's a shoot too, because I do the Kawatas, and I sit, because I'll sit there and I think I can gusset, and I'll kick it in the fucking head, and I'll rip it out. I'll keep kick. I did it to Neil Cutter, and he is just like, that's the bloodiest I've ever been in a match. But my kick pads were just crimson, and I just leave them there. And people are like, do you wash them? I'm like, I spray peroxide on them.
Yeah,
like that's it. That's it.
I'm not trying to bring them back to pristine condition, you know.
I'm like, Nick, I want people to look at me and be like, fuck, what has this dude been doing?
Yeah.
And it slowly started to happen too, as people started to see like more and more and more cuts on my body. And it was after like Southern Sickness, that's when people were like, okay, this dude's kind of fucking off the hinge a little bit. I really thank Marcus for that too, because Marcus really not only was he the guy that was like it's official, you know, you're a deathmatch guy, because he even said it in the post match. He's like, that's why I love him to death, because he put me over, didn't fucking have to do that, and he made me earn my shit, because like my first razor board bump was a fucking Billy Robinson butterfly into it by Marcus, and I got cut really fucking bad in the back, because, you know, razor boards are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I could feel the crazy, because as soon as he did that, it hurt so bad. You know, most people would sit there and just fucking scream. My instinct, and I got up and I started punching him in the fucking face. And he's just like, it's like Slack. I love it. You started punching me. I was like, punch. Sorry. I'm like, that's my instinct with pain, is I'm gonna punch you. Yeah, I'm really dumb like that. Yeah, I'm dumb. As I say, you know, in order, if you're gonna be tough, you gotta be dumb, or the other way around. If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Yeah, right.
Either or, it's the same fucking thing.
You know,
kind of, sorta. We've all met St. Mercer.
Yeah. But you know, so you noticed. So basically, what had happened was, I mean, dude, you saw yourself in third person. You realized, you're like, dude, this isn't fucking working. And you learned at a quicker pace. You had the right the voices in your ear. You know, you had the right people guiding you. Like, these are the people like Marcus, like, you know, myself, anybody. Like, we don't care about how long somebody's been in there. It's not trying to hold anybody down. It's like, you know, well, like, obviously, if you get better and better, then that means you're just another person that we can work with, and you're just us. You know, I
tell people I've got like the best fucking ear, like I got the best people behind me telling me what I don't have people that are in the back fucking trying to undercut me. Like, obviously, yeah, guys like Alex who expect me, you know, to still go out there and pay my dues, because that's the way he is. But it's like, he's never fucking bullshitting me. He's always giving me like the real shit. Same with John, same with Reed, you, Marcus, Schlack. Like, I got all these guys who I consider, you know, uncles and brothers, who were fucking in my ear saying this, not because, you know, they're trying to bring me down. They're like, no, we want you to be the fucking best that you can be. And I just think about that, and I'm like, how fucking lucky am I, man? Like, and it also helps too that I'm not like 21, you know, because, you know, when you're like 19, 20, 21, you're fucking, I know everything, bro.
Oh, dude, like, I see it. I've been seeing it a lot lately. It's like that you get that little bit of like an opportunity, and like they appreciate it, but then they also really quickly get entitled to it, and then you're like, fuck, you know. Like,
these past couple months, I've been feeling grumpy with myself, and I was like, okay, I got, like, it's not a blame the world. It's a, okay, let's look at me and let's keep changing. So that's why, like, the white shorts, I was like, okay. Because people still think I'm like this fucking kid, and I'm like, I'm turning 28. I pay my bills. Like, I'm not a kid. I get being called
on time.
I get being called the kid, but I was like, I had that 1 year of being that, you know, the kid, the hot kid. Now it's like, okay, let's grow up a little bit.
You'll see that shit go away, and like, I can't. I remember, you know, when I met you, I remember meeting you and like what you were as and everything, and I didn't, obviously, I just, hey, really nice to meet you. You're great. You know, you're nice and everything. But like, I didn't think anything. And then, but in my head, when I see you, like visually, I picture you how you are now, and
Yeah.
it takes a minute to think about what you used to look like, you know.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's 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 been a
and that was,
drastic
and
change.
again, it's only 3 years ago. Like
Yeah.
2018 is nothing, you know,
hmm
or
It's just
20,
it's
probably 20, maybe
2019.
2019 when I met you,
Yeah.
but still,
Like it's just one of those things because I view it as almost like being a musician. Like some guys can get away with doing the same old song and dance, but
yeah,
like and so because some people have asked me when are you going to be a bad guy, and I'm like I don't think I need to be, but I'm like I also know if I'm going to be that good guy that everybody because that's one thing I think is crazy to me is like whether it's standard pro wrestling or deathmatch people like get behind me, but I also know I can't, I have to get out there and kill myself 100%. But I also need to change a little bit as time goes on because if I'm the same fucking guy for
you have
two,
to
three
evolve.
years, yeah,
Dude,
people are gonna shit on.
and opinions change too. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've seen it in wrestling, where like the same guys say the same way, and they're like, no. But so like the way that I think that we are is my character is me. I
Yeah,
mean, I am a fucking asshole, but I
yeah,
just trumpet the fuck up. Like,
mm-hmm.
I really do mean everything I kind of say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everything I say about all the fans and call them bloggers or whatever, and like who have opinions and shit that they think their opinion is. It's not that we're not listening to it. It's that they think that their opinion is
Law.
gospel, and
Yeah,
then you throw that at their face, and then they don't want to hear it, and they don't like you. So that's kind of how I am, or whatever.
it's that green. It's like that green kid thing of like you. Um, they say their shit, but when you critique them, they're like, "Oh no, dude, I'm good. I'm perfect." And it's like, no, it's like if you can critique someone, you better be able to take fucking criticism back.
almost
Uh,
every almost every opinionated not just a wrestling fan.
yeah.
Wrestling fans are great, but but if the opinionated ones are the ones that just they ask you a question to just so that you can say your opinion
hmm
in hopes that you go, well, what about you? And then like, oh, well, don't get me fucking started. And then they pull out their fucking notes, and like that's how they are. But like that's how those like opinionated wrestling fans are. But they want to be able to like just have something that they don't want to take anything from any conversation. Like, they
hmm
just want to be able to
They want to talk.
their opinion, and that's it. And you're like, all right, I'm like, all right. So I don't think I have a feud, or I'm just a bad guy. Like
Yeah.
I have an opinion that most fans wouldn't agree with.
And
So
you
that's
get to
what I
voice
went
it.
with.
Yeah,
And
you get to voice it though. Like that's the thing. You found a way to express it, and it
right.
pissed people the fuck off.
Right, and then to bring it to you, it's like you're just you, like amped up, like, and then they just value it, and
Yeah,
and that's just
and
what it is.
but I've also realized like because I once again like me, I'm me times 1,000.
Right.
But I've also realized there's certain things it's me times 1,000 that I need to tone down a little bit, and some other things I need to turn up a bit more. But that's that's the best part about being yourself is that you can recognize that fast because it's you. Like when you criticize yourself, it's not like it's some character we have to fucking imagine shit. You're just like, I got to bring this down and bring this up because this works the most. Like I had the match with Mance. I wrestled Carrie Awful recently, and I wrestled Mickey, and then I had the EWFI, and just like because part of me was like, this whole smiling babyface thing is great, like it's worked for me, but I was like,
so far.
but I also realized I was like, I don't need to keep asking these people to like me. They like me. I go out there before the match. I go out there after the match. I treat them fucking good. That's what matters. But I was like, in the ring, I need to fucking I need to start focusing on winning the most. So now I'm going in there and I'm stomping people and I'm being fucking vicious. And people are just like, it's like once again, like how the mom was like terrified and I had like I apologized to her after it. I was like, sorry for killing your kid.
Sorry for your kid.
Like, but I just realized I need to turn that intensity up more. And, people have compared me to a bunch of other fucking people. And I I take those comparisons in stride. It's not a bad. I don't think it's a bad thing to be compared to people, but it's like if you let it fucking hang on you and then you lean way too deep into it.
Right, because then you just become that person, and
Yeah.
you're not independent. You're not
Hmm.
an individual anymore. You're just,
Yeah.
oh, it's like me, being I think the first time I ever really started like showing like my own true colors instead of
Hmm.
just being like never say die, and like I get compared to like, oh, he's just trying to be like Shawn Michaels or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
fuck you, like, but yeah, I mean, of course, but I mean, that's a great compliment, but like nobody, I don't want to be,
You
there's
don't
this,
want to
I
be a
remember
carbon
this
copy.
wrestler, there was this wrestler like 2005, I think it was like JD Michaels, and he changed it to like JD Superstar or whatever. I watched a match with him versus Ruckus once, and Ruckus made fun of him. He was like, "Man, what an opportunity! I get to wrestle Shawn Michaels, dude. This guy, he was Shawn Michaels, but instead of
To a
hearts,
T.
it had stars." And I was like, if you get a chance and look him up, like you'd be like, who the fuck would book this dude? Like,
Yeah, it's
why?
like,
Like,
but
and then
like
I just
it's
go,
one
I
of those
don't
things that
want to be Sean. I took mannerisms because I watched them my whole life.
yeah.
But I also like say the same type of jokes as like Bill Burr, because
Mhm.
I watch them way too much. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you don't want to be him. And that, I mean, I'm not saying like there are things like, again, like what you did, you toned some things down that that you're like, all right, well, maybe I should calm down with this, and then I
Yes.
should amp this up more, and that's how it is with all of us,
Mhm.
because we all have favorite wrestlers. Which I was going to ask you. My next question was like, who are the people that influence you the most? Um,
Um,
when you started growing, when you first started watching wrestling, and then who are the ones that influenced you the most when you actually became a wrestler in the last 3 years?
like when I was a kid, because like my uncle had like old New Japan tapes and shit like that. So like, I remember like legit, Inoki was a guy that I was like, that guy just looks cool. You know,
Right.
it's whether it's the chin, whether it's the hair. Like he's a guy who just he looked like he was fucking important. But then there was guys like Bret Hart. I mean, it wasn't like I was like, oh man, he's just a great wrestler. I love his technique. But you just looked at him, you're like, okay, this guy looks like cool. He looks confident. He doesn't have to talk. He just goes in there and does his shit, and he does it very well. Um, but then as I grew up, I was like, well, man, Brett's really fucking good in the ring. Um, The Rock was another one, just because The Rock was, the complete fucking package. And like Rock, Stone Cold. I love Jericho just because he was such a dick. And me, when I was like 10, I was like, he's such an asshole. I love him. Like those were like the basic kind of guys. I remember watching a lot of like ECW too, because my dad had like the VHSs, and he'd had for like ECW, fucking whatever fucking pay per view it was, 98, 99, and I'd sit there and I'd be
Right.
like in the middle of the night, I'd be like, Phil, watch it, and I'd be like, whoa. So like RVD, Jerry Lynn, those guys, that's where I saw like Hayabusa, and I was like, I didn't
I
think of
love
Hayabusa.
Hayabusa a
But
lot.
I did. But when you're a
I
kid, you
thought he
don't think
was
like
so cool looking.
he has one of the best fucking looks of any wrestler ever. Like
Absolutely.
rest in peace. The dude was fucking way ahead of his time. But when I'm 10 years old, I don't think, oh, that's a Japanese guy. I'm just like, that guy's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Rey Mysterio. I was like, this guy's fucking cool. And obviously, I
Dude,
wasn't saying fucking.
the first times I ever watched, when I was, not the first times I ever watched wrestling, but like, when I was first introduced to like ECW, and because there was, I live in Pennsylvania, so it was on that channel that I could watch, like channel 18 or whatever the fuck it was. And I could watch those shows, and like getting Joey Styles do that. And I was like 8 years old or
Yeah.
6 years old. And like to a 6-year old, WWF and ECW, and then if I didn't get to watch it until like way later,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like anything in Japan, none of that shit. It just mixes together. It's not like, oh yeah, that's Japanese style. Like, what 7-year-old is gonna
Yeah.
fucking say, "Oh, that's Japanese style wrestling"? You know,
Oh
you're just
God,
like,
give it
"What?
like 10 years.
That's catcher's catch can over there," and you're like,
Give it
the only
10
reason
years.
I
It's
even
gonna
heard
happen.
that was because I heard Jr. say it, and I didn't even know what it meant. Like,
uh, give it 10 years. You're gonna have those little fucking smart kids that know. Um, it's because when you're a kid, you don't give a shit. It's wrestling, man. Like
yeah, you just believe
that's
it. You fucking
that's the way
believe
I
it.
am now. I don't care what product it is. Like, and if my friends fuck this guy, I'm like, he's good. Like that's what I'll be. I'm like, he's good. Like I'm not gonna take that away from it. The product is good. Okay, or like I don't watch
Oh, what
WWE.
did he say to you backstage? You know,
Oh
get the
yeah,
fuck out of here. I can't wait for you to tell me. You know, like,
fucking please, bro. Give me that bit of drama I don't give a shit about. Like I don't watch WWE, but I'll watch a match and I'll be like, that was good. That was good. Like I remember I watched Daniel Bryan and Brock and I was like, fuck man, I love wrestling. And people are like, well, it's the product shit. I'm like, did you watch this match? Well, no. And I'm like, well, then shut the fuck up. Like there's always gonna be good
shit?
things.
Was it the match, or was it the pay-per-view, or was it like because you overheard somebody else say that? You know, like,
Oh yeah. That's like movie reviews. People will be like, oh, that movie sucked because I heard this, and you go and watch it. Like, oh, that's fucking great.
yeah.
Like I've learned that I don't trust anybody as far as I can throw them. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna watch something to see it for myself. Because like once again, now there's people that say, oh, this guy hits too hard or shit like that, and I'm like, fuck off. Like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like wrestling is a contact sport. Get over it. Like I'm not. Someone was like, I would never take a Walter chop because I think it's unsafe. Why, there's no reason to hit that hard. And I'm like, bro, I'm gonna take that chop and I'm gonna fucking take it and call you a pussy in the
Dude,
back.
all it means is that they fucking got worked. Like, that was just like, that's it. Those are the kind of fans I'm talking about. The same ones that are they're the
That's
opinionated fans,
wrestlers, though.
and then you just go, dude, did you just fucking tell me that you got worked without saying that? Like, man, like, you know, like, that's exactly what you just did. You believe that Walter's like that. Oh wow, wait a minute. Walter over here he's just allowed to hurt other wrestlers and he just gets a contract out of it because he hurts people because he's unsafe. Are you fucking
Yeah, it's
stupid?
almost like
Go
people
buy
didn't
a
agree.
t-shirt. You're like, get the
It's
fuck
almost
out
like
of
people
here.
don't realize you agree to wrestle that style of fucking match. You're like, hey, no, bro, please. Like when Nolan and I wrestled at that Pit Fighter 4, and we're just because that was just a straight MMA cage. There was no give. It's just metal bars underneath. And we looked at each other before we went out, and we're like, sorry. All right, cool. And while we were like doing this afterwards, like for the next week and a half, but people were like, that was the most disgusting matchup. Like he's sticking, like, cause I got shredded at No Peace. I think you were there. Like went through a pain and like because I slid, so I shredded my arm from the glass. And like I told him, and I was like, "Hey, bro, go after my arm." And he's like, "Sure." I'm like, "Yeah." So he had barbed wire, and he's legit just like putting it in there, and like I'm screaming my ass off, blood's getting all over the mat, and people were freaking the fuck out. But afterwards, thank you, baby, love you.
Dude,
Walk
again,
off.
it's one of those things that you're like, you know, do I want to take a bump on this like concrete with padding on it,
Oh yeah.
or do you want to just maybe open up this cut that I already got this week?
Or be a dumbass like me. Be a dumbass like me and do all that.
Oh yeah,
let's go to 90s All Japan and stab my arm.
When you're in the ring, octagon,
Oh yeah.
like you know, like like everybody's there, and you hear them, you're just like, yeah, I don't feel pain, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
you're like, yeah, that's why we're
But
done.
people don't realize,
First
like,
of all, we're done for doing this. We could just have regular jobs, live at the end of a cul-de-sac, scoop shit out of the gutter every Sunday, and slowly resent everybody. But we don't.
Slowly become an alcoholic. Slowly start to treat my kids like shit.
Exactly. You know, just like take your whole day out on your wife. You know, it's just
but it's like people watch watch Noah, and they're like, "Oh, this shit's amazing," but when it comes to like something in like the West, it's like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that. It's so unsafe." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, guys, we agreed to do this. We want it to be like that because you're never gonna fucking forget it. Like Misawa looked at Kobashi like, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna drop you on your fucking neck outside. Are you cool with that? Let's do it, bro."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now we're still talking about it 15 years later, so it worked.
it's like for the most part, like I wouldn't doubt that if you know, like, and this is actually to give credit to like DJ
Mhm.
Hyde. He's like, in any match, like all you need is a beginning and an end in a
Mhm.
match. And I go, and I remember, like, obviously what he meant was, you have the opener, like, whatever you guys want to, how you want to start it,
Mhm.
how you want to finish it, but you can always call not spots and when you need to do them, but like just go. And I actually learned this from Joey. It was the first time I ever did it. Was him and I wrestled, and I was kind of going over like the order of things, and he goes, how was that? Oh, hi. and he just goes, well, wait, why don't we just, you tell me what you do, and
Mhm.
then when we feel that it's right to do it,
Yes.
you then know what it is, so we don't really have to say as much. And I just go, okay. And then I did it, and then I was like, this is the fucking easiest way
Mhm.
I've ever had a match in my life. And then you get to actually, then you're not worried about what the spot is. You're just worried about like, you're not even worried about
Yeah.
anything. You're just having the fun, and then
You
you're
just
just
go out there
listening.
and do things on like you don't have to
Right.
when things happen naturally and it works out
Yeah.
great. You're like, wow, like uh, my thing is I prefer like that kind of way. Like, we got a beginning, we got an end, but we also go like, hey, what's the what kind of story do we want to tell?
Right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that way,
Obviously.
yeah, so that way we
What's
have that in our
the
head. And
backstory on it?
yeah, or like when something will happen in a match and you just go, hey, we're going after this now. Like, what was it in November? My knees were just like caving in. Like my knees were fucking bad. And obviously like I'm running now, but it was horrible. And I just had one match where my knee buckled and I told the dude, I was like, go after my leg. He's like, well, I'm like, go after my fucking leg, please. But that's one thing where it's like, it's my second job, so I got to go out there and I got to do it. And I got to keep going as hard as I can, but I also have to be realistic. Of well, my knee just kind of collapsed in on itself. Hey, do this so and we can keep working because like I can still throw kicks on my back. I can still do shit in my back. I know like being able to do things in those different kinds of environments. That's a lot of what I've learned in 3 years has been trial by fire too. Because I worked a shit ton of matches. Like my first 2 years, I worked like 400 some matches. So like my body's was already hurting. I had years of being a college athlete because I was a college swimmer, and
Yeah.
people don't realize how bad like college like swimming is bad on your body because you're doing all kinds of running, all kinds of heavy lifting. Now you're going in the pool and you're swimming 10 miles a fucking day. Um, and just the fact that I'm 27 turning 28 and I'm still going out there and I'm doing half the shit that I'm doing, but
You're
I'm also
shocking
now
your whole fucking system with like
yeah.
a whole new fucking thing. Like it's just like doing a workout to a very very small degree. It's like doing the first time you do deadlifts
Mhm.
ever, and then you see the effect on your fucking legs like 2 days later. Like
You're
you're
like
dead. And it's kind of like that in the long run with wrestling. And
yeah.
like I would have thought, like with swimming, swimming works out muscles that you really can't work out.
Yep.
A cat too. Oh yeah, that's it. All right, never mind.
Yeah.
And so it works out like muscles that you can't normally work out. So anytime
Yeah.
I go swimming and I go, oh yeah, I'm gonna do like fucking laps, and I do that, and then 2 days later I wonder why this weird ass spot like in the middle of my back hurts, and I go,
And you're so fucking tired from it. People don't realize like how like you burn if you're on the swim team, and you swim 10 miles, you're burning like 5,000, 6,000 calories. Like because before I went to college, I was 210 and I was not 210 muscle. I was 210 fat, but I was still a better swimmer than most everybody in my high school. But like I was in there for 2 months and I went from swimming like maybe 1,000 yards, 2,000 yards in training and I'd go to college where I'm swimming 10,000 to 20,000 a day, I dropped like 70 to 80 pounds over the course of like a month. And people are like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like shit though. Like my body was not ready for that change, because then I started having like muscle tears and stuff just because of how hard it is, because you're constantly doing that same fucking motion. And like it was my right shoulder. So I was a breaststroke guy. So my coach, for better or for worse, he'd be like, you're going to do this for 10,000 yards every day for a year. And so I do it like all the time. And I got to the point where I tore something right here, and I couldn't lift above here without, visceral pain. They had to jab like 3 needles in my arm with like cortisone. And they're like, yeah, you need to go do muscle therapy. And it was at that time, that's when I was like, maybe it's time to stop swimming, because I'm not having fun. 2, like I can't move my arm, and I'm out for 5 to 6 months.
I don't think I've ever, and I don't think I will ever, hear anybody in my life say, I had to quit swimming and do professional wrestling because I was just getting so beat up.
It's a really weird thing. But I came into wrestling, and because I knew, talking to people, because I was around like because I lived near Lafayette, Indiana, and that's where like Billy Rock's out of. So I was originally going to go to Billy Rock school, but then he shut down. And I went to this really small school where it was, once again, I was the only trainee by the end of like the first week. And my trainer was just telling me about all the injuries that he's had. And we'd watch like shoot interviews, and they talk about their injuries that they had. And I'm like, okay, I got to be realistic about, because once again, I came in at like 24, 25, so I'm not a complete fucking idiot. I've had a little bit of life experience. I'm doing shit on my own. I'm paying for wrestling on my own. I've never, like, my parents, they basically like kicked me out when they found out I was putting everything into wrestling. And I realized I got to be realistic to what I can do in the ring, so I can do it long term. And so that's when, I really started liking straight up amateur wrestling, which once again, I should have probably just went with amateur wrestling in high school, because that's what the coaches were like, you're really flexible. You're strong from swimming. You've got size. We could probably teach you how to get pins, and you could be like a state champion in like wrestling. And I was like, nah, man, I'm going to go be a swimmer. And now here I am, being a pro wrestler. And I'm like, fuck, man, I could have used all that.
Yeah. I think of all the clubs and shit that I could have like benefited from in high school. And I just go, and in college, I'm just like, oh yeah, man. Well, I did what I loved, but yeah.
Now I use that flexibility that I could have used, to win state championships. I use it to get out of submissions and glass. Like, hey, bro, like, please torque my back as far as you can. It'll look really cool. Me afterwards, I'm like, fuck, why the fuck did I do that? So my friend that I wrestled in that UWFI match, he put a shoot Boston Crab on me, and because he knows I'm like triple jointed in my back, he wrenched that motherfucker as far as he could, like where he's leaning back, and as he's doing it, my back goes, and I'm like, oh fuck, and I hear him giggling as the people are going, oh, and I'm like, he wants me to counter it, fuck you. And I flip through, and I'm like, all right, we're going home. That sucked. And I started stomping on him. I'm like, this is the finish, I'm done. And he's like, yeah, man, he's like, I knew you could get out of it. And I was like, I could barely. I was like, I could barely breathe.
Because we're actually, I didn't realize we were talking this long, man. But a couple of questions.
Question.
I was gonna say, so this is what do you love the most about pro wrestling? Now that you've been doing it for 3 years, like, what do you love the most about it? And what keeps you going?
Honestly, it's it's everything about it, the good and the bad. I feel like I've grown more as a person in 3 years by dealing with all the bullshit, all the highs, all the lows. I mean, I've traveled, I've been to Mexico, I've been I'm going, and especially now this year, I'm going everywhere, like every other state. And I just remember being 22, 23 out of college and working in a factory and fucking hating my life and going, I'm just gonna change things up. I'm gonna go into pro wrestling just because that feels right. And just with everything that's happened, like who else can say, within the first year of them being a wrestler, they went to Mexico? Who else can say, in 3 years, they're making a pretty decent living doing this that, is really hard and it's brutal on your body. And some people don't fucking get, a shot. Some people don't get any spotlight on themselves for years, like Larry D. That dude was grinded for fucking years and now he's on Impact. But it took him all that fucking time to do that. And I just have to remind myself how fucking lucky I am. And but I also have to remind myself how much I've put into it. And, when people get a storyline or they get some little subtle thing that you do just in hopes that they get it. And when they tell you they got it, you're just like, it makes you feel good.
That's good.
And then even like this, like the shitty things that you have to deal with when it's, people treating you like shit or just some weird little thing, you come out of it with a perspective of either you learn something or you handle that situation right. Like I try to be just a thankful dude. Like life is pretty fucking cool. Like I wouldn't have this apartment if it wasn't for pro wrestling. I wouldn't have all these fucking animals. I wouldn't have a duck, a Shiba, 2 cats, 4 guinea pigs, fucking just because of pro wrestling,
That's awesome, man. I mean, it is. But then, I know you said that it was, what you hate the highs and the lows of wrestling. But dude, what sucks to wrestling with you? Like, tell me everything that just what pisses you off the most. Is it be specific? Is some piece of shit dude in the back just bitter? Like, oh man, just literally sucking on a lemon of just going, when I was fucking, when I first started training, I was allowed to do that. So what is it? What pisses you off in wrestling?
People that try to do things different, and and people that just have that very, this is how pro wrestling is. This is the only way it can be. And that one person's trying something different, so they constantly shit on it, even though what they're doing is fucking working. And I'm like, if it works, it works. Like that's just proof that you can't wrap the concept of pro wrestling in a fucking little bubble. Like some people pro wrestling needs to be super fucking serious. Meanwhile, I'll go watch Minoru Suzuki and DDT, and motherfucker's having the time of his life, and he's also really fucking entertaining too. And I'm like, it works. Like there's so many different ways to do things in pro wrestling, and it's just those guys that it's their way or the highway, and if it's any other way, it sucks. That's what annoys me. I'm just like, I'm a kind of guy where you do your thing, and if it works for you, aces, man. And it's those people that are just so stubborn and unwilling to give an accolade to someone who's busted their ass off for it.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off.
What's your oh man. Well, not to comment on the comments here, but Brett, I have a lot more downloads on Spotify than Instagram Live, but whatever. So because we're cutting it short here, what's your short-term goal, and what's your long-term goal in wrestling, man?
Short-term right now, if you want to call it short-term.
Yeah, it is right now, short-term.
Right, is doing this full-time, just finding a way to do this full-time, whether it's through merchandising, through just wrestling all the time, or through doing all those things and Twitch. Twitch has actually been a really fun thing for me, and I've made some money off of it. But just trying a way to do this full time, because I enjoy doing this full time. I enjoy training and every aspect of it. So that's my short term, next 2-3 years. Long term, I don't really know. I'm not a guy that wants to be like, this is where I'm going to be. because like once again, like my pro wrestling venture's been really ups and downs, highs and lows. I don't know where the fuck it's taking me. Um, but I'd like to be like one of the top guys in the indies, you know, going around I want to be a guy in 10 years per se, where I take everything that I've learned and I'm helping the independents. I don't have any aspirations of being on TV. If it happens, cool. But it's not my goal.
Yeah, you do. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
I don't like.
Really, if Vince fucking calls you right now and he just goes, "Hey, you know, listen, I need you to tell Danny D'Amato to go fuck himself," and then I might consider putting you on Raw, you know,
immediately.
Giving you a contract.
Well, it's that thing.
You're not going to just literally have your middle finger ready.
Once again, I said I don't know. I don't have any aspirations at the moment. But if someone goes, "Hey, you're gonna make $200,000. You're gonna come in and do a segment on Raw every week, and that's it." Okay, because then once again, I'm doing wrestling full time, and I can do that and do other things with it and advance my life further. But like right now, my aspirations are Europe. My aspirations are like Japan, and I just want to go and do my own thing and help as many people as I can. Like one thing like right now I really love doing is taking, you know, whatever I've done and going to shows and just working with people. And like when I worked with Yoya for in the UWFI stuff, and now seeing him going out and he's doing blood sport and shit like that, I'm like, that's the coolest thing in the world to me. Like that makes me fucking happy, especially seeing him go out there killing it. Now he's wrestling. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm fully booked for like these couple months." I'm like, dude, that's aces. Guys like Robert Martyr, who's going out there and he's wrestling all the time now, and people are seeing how fucking talented he is. Seeing guys like Nolan, like all my friends going out and excelling, and just the fact that I got to work with them, that makes me happy.
That's cool. Yeah.
But that's what I want to do. I want to be the guy because I feel like in 10 years, you know, because the indies are hurting, obviously, due to COVID. And if I could be a guy in 10, 15 years that people look up to for advice, I think that's – and I'm making money and I'm happy. That's all I want to be in 15 years is happy. Not that I'm not now, but, like, I want to be consistently happy through life. And if I can do that with helping people and, you know, being someone's role model someday, that's cool to me. I'm a weird dude. I don't know.
Nah, dude, you make sense, man. So, hey, listen, I appreciate you being on my show. Just to end it with this, it seems like our people watching here, you know, like some people that own some small companies or whatever, they want you on their show. I think it's called, what's it called? Like TOS. So yeah, they're interested in you and having you on there, you know, and then also criticizing everything that I say and do, because I'll never be good enough. But I appreciate having on there. It's something to consider, obviously. So, dude, thanks for.
Angel says you did a good job. Angel says you did a really good job.
Oh, you know what? That's all that matters to me. Yeah, I appreciate you being on. I'm glad we got to do it, and I hope to see you soon, brother.
Yeah, man. Love you.
All right. I'll see you, man.